This interdisciplinary project is investigating the impact of simultaneous interpretation on court cases in Wales. Since the Welsh Language Act, defendants and witnesses have the right to use their chosen language in court cases, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that a judge or the jurors will be able to speak Welsh. So in order to enable a bilingual court case, simultaneous interpretation is key. The aim of this research is to consider what the impact of that interpretation is on those who are listening. Are there practical factors that impact the impression of the jurors, such as the location of the interpreter or the voice that they're hearing? And what improvements can be made to improve the experience of those who are listening, the staff in the courts, and of course, the experience of the interpreters themselves? The project started with a pilot study in 2020, where we were able to conduct a theatre forum workshop, and then we conducted a second workshop funded by the British Academy. Forum theatre aims to allow flexibility and freedom, so participants are able to change the scenario, make comments and suggestions, and have a free experience of the scenario that's put before them. We invited professional, qualified interpreters, barristers. We had actors to play the parts of the defendants, and we invited members of the public to participate as jurors. And the workshop revealed many interesting things about the experiences of those in bilingual court cases. What was particularly unique about this project was the opportunity to bring 3 departments together across the university, namely Welsh and Celtic Studies, Law and Criminology, and Psychology. And this enabled us to have several useful perspectives: the legal perspective, psychological, and the linguistic. There were several interesting findings in these workshops. First of all, the location of the interpreter is key, and it can vary significantly in courts across Wales. Ideally, the interpreter should be in a booth, according to our research, where the interpreter can see the individual that they're translating for clearly, and where they're out of the mindset, out of sight from those who are listening to the interpretation as well, so that those who are listening won't conflate the voice of the interpreter and the voice of the original defendant. Secondly, the need for training was highlighted, because although interpreters themselves are very highly trained, and so are the judges in court cases, the members of the jury are not currently provided with any training related to interpreting specifically. It's not an easy task listening to interpreting. You have to move back and forth between listening to the interpretation in the headphones and then what's said live. There will be some overlap inevitably, and if jurors are not prepared for that experience, they can have a negative impression of the evidence that they're hearing via interpretation. And thirdly, although there's more work to be done, our research suggests that the difference between the gender of the voice of the interpreter and the gender of the voice of the original speaker is significant and can impact the impression of those who are listening, particularly, for example, in a case which would involve violence where gender is particularly relevant. For example, if a woman is giving evidence in a case relating to rape, for example, and her voice is being interpreted by a male interpreter, the experience of the jury could be very different according to the experiences of our jurors in our workshops. The next steps will be to analyse the transcriptions of our second workshop in detail, and then to submit our recommendations to His Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Service. There is more work to do as well, particularly with regards to the impact of the gender of the voice of the interpreter and the impact that that has on the listener.